Thanks for joining me for this edition of the Church Security Answer Man. I am so glad that you are joining me here today for a very important topic for us to talk about, not to worry about. So let's jump right into this quick discussion here. And the question comes to us from Eric G. He wrote to me this week and he wanted to know a little bit of concern, him and a couple of folks at church having discussions about should they create a list of who carries concealed weapons in the church that aren't on the team, who's not on the team, who's carrying concealed weapons. And I hear this kind of stuff all the time. How do I address concealed permit holders at church? And I get it. It's a little bit of a concern. It comes up with a hot topic. What about if they create a problem and we have crossfire? And I get that. I get the issue. Crossfire is a big buzz term these days, and I understand it. And there's other buzz terms, and somebody gets on a kind of a ride of, oh, what are we going to do? And really, I'm more laid back about this stuff. I'm not as worried about these folks, and I will tell you why I'm not that concerned about them. But let's get to a couple things. What can we do about these folks? They're not on the team. What are we going to do to deal with our concerns and maybe even improve the situation a little bit should something happen? And I think we should offer training to these folks, offer training to those who carry permits. If you want to create a list, that may be offensive to some people, but if you want to kind of ask around and determine who they are and invite them to come to a little bit of a training situation, or an orientation, a course, maybe you can make up a course that's just a couple hours long that they come to, that you can tell them what your kind of things you're doing and maybe kind of who's on the team and that kind of stuff. You have to decide what you want to do. Maybe you do some practice shooting. Maybe you make it fun, have a barbecue, go out and shoot a little, have a barbecue, have a little orientation. It's kind of an outreach or a little bit of a ministry once a year, kind of do something like that, and you might find through that process that you end up recruiting a couple of folks. You get a couple people going that seem to be doing pretty well at it and have a good mind, good sense about it. And so you recruit them. I like that idea. But I want to encourage you not to worry about it. The topic comes up. What am I going to do? I got people carrying guns in the church. What if something happens? We're going to have some kind of crossfire issue or somebody innocent could get hurt. So address it, but I wouldn't worry about it. These folks, and this, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. These are my opinions. But here's the deal. These folks don't practice much. In fact, I've had people in my church security classes that are on the team that carry concealed as I traveled around the US and did some classes. And some of those folks, I think they were trying to be honest with me or wanted to be honest with me, but they weren't completely honest with me. They're even telling me that it's been probably at least 10 years since they've shot their gun and they carry it all the time. And I think it was probably been a little bit longer for some of them. These folks are not tactically minded, and they probably have some very poor reaction skills. I know some of these folks, they carry a gun, but they're timid about carrying it. In fact, they don't carry it all the time. They may tell you they carry, but they don't really carry it all the time from my experience. And I know one person who's told me that they're going to be looking to hand the gun to somebody. They just carry the gun. They have their permit, but they just carry the gun so that they can hand it off to somebody else who can probably handle it better than they can, be more proficient than they are. These people are going to get down and they're going to run away. So they're going to hide and run away just like everybody else during these events. And then probably after it's over, they're going to come running back or come walking back to see what the situation is. Your team members are going to handle the situation much more quickly. So that's why I'm not as concerned. These topics here, that's why I'm not as concerned about crossfire and some of these other things that happen, because these people are not typically going to get involved that quick. They're going to be late to the event. And so I don't want you to worry about them. I don't think you need to worry about them. Have an orientation with them, go shooting with them, provide an event where they get a little bit of practice. And just understand that they are not training to react and stuff. But that's why we want to remember we want our people training so that they're better at reacting and handling these situations than these folks are. So very important. And you can look at other videos, and don't take my word for it. Look at the video from December 2019. Great video if you can find a raw copy of it that hasn't been edited or blurred or any of that, from the white settlement, Texas shooting at the church. And you're going to see a couple of people that are just that. They hide, and the shooting incident just took 4 to 6 seconds to actually be concluded. But you're still going to see people who are late to the event. Those are concealed permit holders that are hiding and they're running away, and then they're coming back. And so, and find some others. I encourage you to find some other videos of other shooting incidents where you can see these folks that don't show up to the actual event during the critical time. And so it's not, to me, it's not as big of a deal. And I certainly accept challenges. Send me a note, make some comments. I'm always all about that. I understand if you don't agree, but those are my opinions from my experience and my observations. Don't worry about them. Include them in training, orientation, maybe yearly, maybe once every couple of years, and make it a fun activity. I like it, and maybe include some other people from the community as well. Maybe it becomes an outreach. But I am cautious about getting the guns out and that kind of stuff these days. So I don't know how widespread I would invite people to this event. But I want to say on the other side, this is why we train our people. This is why we want to train our people well and do as much as we can, because we want them to react better, quicker. We want them to be sure and be running towards the event to handle the situation. So not like the concealed permit holders that we're talking about that don't train, those kind of things. We want to be ready for that. And I want to remind you that I'm always saying there are very important events that we do need to be getting prepared for and worried about. Those are medical events, service interruptions, domestic violence issues at our churches, restraining orders, no contact orders. Statistically, those are much more prevalent, thefts, those kind of things, than an active shooter or a violent intruder. Those are not likely statistically, with currently, 380,000 registered churches just in the US. I don't know the numbers in Canada, Mexico, and other countries, France, where some of you are also living and listening to us. And I don't know those numbers, but still, it's statistically not likely to happen to us. But it does happen. So we have to be prepared for those situations. And I want you prepared. I'm just looking at this group of folks that have concealed permits, that carry concealed, that you're becoming aware of. And I don't want you to worry about it and get extremely upset or sidetracked over it. Deal with it a little bit with an orientation or a little something once in a while, but don't worry about it. They're going to carry concealed. And if we get too hard pressed on it, we're probably going to offend some of them as well. So don't worry about it. Just get your team prepared and be ready to handle the situation. And I want to thank you for joining us, watching this video, and being part of our community. Leave me a comment. Don't forget as well, you can see down in the description section, if you're here on YouTube, you can see our training events. We have lots of great training that help different segments of your teams at your ministry, and they work together as well. The trainings are cohesive so that everybody's learning things together, even though they have some separate duties. And then we apply materials to those separate duties as well for the individual. So take a look at some of that training, and also take a look at this video right here, because I believe it's the next video that you need to watch relative to learning more about church security and sharing with our community.